What is next for Darren Till after submission loss to Derek Brunson? What is the best course of action for Darren Till in the wake of his submission loss at UFC Vegas 36? In his return to welterweight an option, or will he try again? Watch the video as we tell you what we know. Should Darren Till return to welterweight after his UFC Vegas 36 submission loss? The hands of Derek Brunson snaked around the Liverpoolian's neck, and Darren Till grabbed at them. Many fans believe he was grabbing at his middleweight title dreams as they slithered away, which is a reasonable assumption. In their middleweight encounter in Las Vegas on Saturday night, Till was defeated by Brunson through submission, the 28-year-old's fourth loss of his professional career. Till's setback was by far the most devastating of his career. As a result, when Till competed for the UFC welterweight title in September 2018, there was a sense that he had been pushed into it, with UFC officials eager for the undefeated English fan favorite to dethrone the dominant but somewhat dull Tyron Woodley. When Till defeated Stephen Wonderboy Thompson in Liverpool, he was awarded a title chance at 170 pounds, a decision that has been questioned by many mixed martial arts fans outside of Till's hometown. It was a relatively slow fight, but Till was felled by Woodley barely 10 seconds into the second round with a hard counter right straight, and he was brutalized on the mat until a D'Acre choke forced the then 25-year-old to tap. However, Till's entry into the battle was premature, and his youth meant that there was no reason to be concerned about him. There was plenty of time for the Muay Thai specialist to recover, and MMA competitors have recovered from far worse situations in the past. 6 months later, Till was in the main event of UFC London, where he faced off against George Masvidal for the fourth time in as many fights. To the delight of the fans, Till felled Masvidal with virtually the first punch he threw, only to be knocked out cold and frozen rigid in the second round with a right hook. As Till revealed in an exclusive interview with The Independent earlier this week, there was little to take away from those defeats from the standpoint of a mixed martial artist. "I was fighting the scales at that point, rather than my opponents at the time," stated Till. "It became apparent that I was simply stuck in a weight category that didn't fit me any longer. My opponents may have been better than me on the night in question, but I do not consider them to be superior to me in any manner, shape, or form. I'm in a fantastic position right now. It helps that I'm in a division where I feel at ease." Till may feel a little less at ease a few days after the fight because he is 1-2 in that division and has a definite lack of momentum at middleweight at the moment. In addition, he has gone 1-4 in his previous 5 fights, bringing his unblemished record to 18-4-1. After a close decision victory over the dangerous Kelvin Gastelum, Till made his divisional debut in 2019. Gastelum, who has been struggling for quite some time, was Till's opponent in the fight. Till was on the receiving end of such a decision last summer when he was defeated by decision by former 185-pound champion Robert Whittaker on Fight Island in Abu Dhabi after a competitive and violent fight. Till told The Independent that he gained more insight from the setbacks than he did from his losses at welterweight, owing to the absence of any weight-cutting concerns that he experienced at middleweight. "There are minor things you can take away from losses, like the one against Whittaker," he explained, "but it all has to do with learning and growing." Unfortunately, Till has been unable to properly demonstrate that progress and learning in the octagon thus far in his professional wrestling career. In addition to wrestling, Brunson, Till's successful opponent at the UFC's Apex facility in Las Vegas, is also a professional wrestler. In an interview with The Independent ahead of last week's main event, Till stated, "It'll just be a chance for me to demonstrate why I spent 4 years in Brazil and why my wrestling and grappling are so good." Till, on the other hand, was knocked out in each of the 3 rounds on Saturday. Unlike the first 2 takedowns, which Brunson executed perfectly, the final takedown was executed out of desperation, with the 37-year-old shooting on Till after being shocked by a sequence of punches. Brunson won the fight by a unanimous decision. It was surprising how quickly the American was able to capture the takedowns and then transition into full mount when he had done so. Till's back was soon taken by Brunson, who then locked in a rear naked choke on him. As soon as the hold was established, Till tapped the table, bringing the Scousers' tiny glimmer of hope for a victory to an end in an instant. Till has long maintained that his exceptional striking abilities would allow him to defeat anyone on his finest day, but it can be argued that he has never provided any evidence to back up those assertions in the ring. While this may seem harsh, especially given the fact that all of Till's opponents since Thompson have have been fierce competitors, the victory over Wonder Boy was questionable. The victory over Gastelum was narrow, and Till ultimately fell short against Whitaker, no matter how much he impressed during the fight. Due to the foregoing, a counter-narrative is beginning to emerge that Till is not destined for UFC gold, that he is not well-rounded enough, nor is he mentally mature enough to put together the streak of victories required to become champion. Till is still considered to be a youthful athlete in the sport, having turned 28 this year, but now is the time for him to make the necessary adjustments. Taking this into consideration, it is not unjust to examine Till's coaching. The Liverpoolian is tremendously loyal to Colin Heron, but the feedback he receives from his head coach between rounds has not always been as useful as it could have been. The most recent example was offered following the opening round versus Brunson. "He can have that round, can't he, Heron?" Till inquired of Heron. "He's exhausted." What was his head coach's answer to this? "He's apprehensive. He's scared to death." Only a handful of onlookers agreed with Till or Heron accounts of the bout, which had been dominated by Brunson's crushing and bloodying Till on the mat up until that moment. Even though Till is unlikely to break ways with Heron, nor does he have to, his coach must provide constructive feedback, and the two must work together to improve Till's grappling abilities. It is true that this is easier said than done, but in spite of any criticism that may be leveled at Till's competence, his striking is a delight to behold. He can be confident that those qualities will not diminish while he concentrates on a deficiency in his fighting style. Till's 4 years in Brazil appear impressive on his resume, but they did not have a significant impact on the 28-year-old's performance on the canvas against Brunson. A decrease in the level of competition appears to be necessary as well. That will not be easy to accomplish in the middleweight class, as stacked as the middleweight division is, but Till should be paired with one of the following: Edmund Shabazanian, Brad Tavares, or Kevin Holland, all of whom are ranked outside of the top 10. The 8th-ranked 185-pounder Sean Strickland has been proposed as a possible replacement for Till, but the Liverpoolian may find even the 8th-ranked 185-pounder to be too dangerous right now. In the aftermath to his loss to Brunson, Till took to Instagram to share photos of himself with Michael Bisping and Charles Oliveira. There was no need for a caption. At the age of 37, Manchester's Michael Bisping became the first British UFC champion when he won the middleweight title in 2016. Oliveira won his 28th UFC fight this year, and with it, he became the lightweight champion. Till still has some time to reach his one and only dream of donning UFC gold, but he must make the most of his remaining opportunities. Meanwhile, what about Brunson? Derek Brunson has been hearing the UFC middleweight champion praise potential contenders for months before he finally got his chance to face him. Israel Adesanya had mentioned Jared Cannonier, who had won the race 2 weeks prior. Later that year, the champion stated that the 150-pound fighter who piqued his interest was Darren Till, who will be Brunson's opponent on Saturday. Derek Brunson was one name that had not come out of Adesanya's mouth before. Consequently, after completing a 3rd-round submission victory over Till in the UFC Fight Night main event in Las Vegas, Brunson made certain to inform Adesanya that he should not be underestimated. Despite this, Till did not have a chance, as Brunson was all over him from the beginning of their fight. Brunson scored takedowns in each of the 3 rounds, and he made effective use of them. He maintained his advantage for the majority of the opening 10 minutes, inflicting damage with punches and elbows that resulted in bruising on the right side of Till's face. Despite the fact that Adesanya won their first bout rather comfortably, Brunson could prove to be a difficult opponent for him in a rematch. Because of Brunson's dominance in the ring, Adesanya struggled to get out from underneath light heavyweight champion Jan Blachowicz in their battle in March. Will it ever come down to a rematch between Adesanya and Brunson though? It is expected that Adesanya will defend his title against former champion Robert Whitaker in the near future. As a result, it may be some time before Brunson and Cannonier receive a shot at whoever is holding the belt. We may only know in a few months' time. What do you think about Till's future?